Hello everyone, welcome to WebDev Warrior. In today's video, we're going to build an amazing software landing page from scratch. We're going to use the latest version of Next.js, which is Next.js 15. We're going to use Tailwind CSS latest version, which is Tailwind 4. And we're going to use TypeScript in our project to build this amazing landing page. So first, let me show you a full demo of this landing page. So if I reload the page, you can see we have animation in our website. Then we have this navbar buttons, and then we have this hero section with text and images. And you can see this button have very nice hover effect, and also this button have some nice hover effect. So if I start scrolling, here you can see we have scroll animation with this hover effect. You can see this is the service section. So if I scroll again, you can see we have beautiful and smooth scroll animation in our website. Then we have this about us section with scroll animation. We have button. Then we have this why chooses sections with scroll animation. Then we have this software section, and here you can see we have this beautiful card design with button. Then we have this latest work with scroll animation, and it looks amazing. Then we have this slider, so client review slider. You can slide from left to right or right to left. Then we have our block section with scroll animation, and you can see this is beautifully designed block section. And finally we have this footer with some footer link and hover effect. Here you can see we have a button, so by clicking this button you will go to the top. So it is a scroll to top button, and you can see initially it's hidden, but if I start scrolling it will appear to the screen. Another exciting feature in our landing page is the dark mode. So our website will be work both on the dark mode and light mode. So here you can see we have a button. So by clicking this, we'll be in the dark mode. Now if I show you, you can see everything in the dark mode, and everything looks awesome in the dark mode also. So we have every section which looks amazing. And if I show you in the light mode, you can see everything fit perfectly in our viewport height, and everything looks amazing and professional. Another most important feature of this website is it's fully mobile responsive. So if I show you the responsiveness, so if I select a mobile device first, let's say the iPhone, you can see every section fit perfectly, everything fit perfectly. Now we don't have the nav links, we have a burger menu. So if I click here, a sidebar will open with beautiful effect. So you can see first a overlay come, and then the sidebar appear to the screen. So this is the amazing features. Now if I start scrolling, you can see every section fit perfectly with our mobile devices. So we don't have any overflow in our content. Everything looks awesome. And in the dark mode, it also looks awesome in the mobile devices. And this website is not only mobile responsive, but it will be fit for all sections, all devices. So if I show you in the iPad devices, you can see iPad devices, it also fit perfectly, and it looks amazing. So our website will be fully responsive across any device. So this is our landing page that we are going to build today, and I'm going to teach you everything from scratch to how you can initialize a Next.js 15 project with Tailwind CSS and TypeScript, how you can structure your file. I will teach you the basics of Next.js. I will teach you how you can create reusable component, how you can work with third-party libraries, how to create slider, how to create dark mode, light mode, and finally, I'm going to show you how you can deploy your project in live servers like Vercel. So I encourage you to watch the full tutorial for better understanding. And the source code of this project will be given in the description, as well as the starter file will be given in the description. If you want, you can use project code to your portfolio. And if you have any question related to this project, you can ask me in the comment section. So without wasting any time, let's start building this amazing landing page. Now let's set up our project. So first I'm going to create a new folder inside my PC, and I'm going to name it software landing YT, and then I'm going to open this folder using my Visual Studio Code. And here I'm going to open a new terminal, and in the terminal I'm going to use npx create next app at the rate latest to create a Next.js 15 project, and I'm going to use a dot slash so that all the packages are installed in our software landing YT folder. Now I'm going to hit enter. So we're going to use Y to proceed. So it asked me, would you like to use TypeScript? Yes, we're going to use TypeScript. We're going to use ESLint. We're going to use Tailwind CSS. We do not need the source directory. We're going to use app router, and the turbo pack is new and it is basically for the faster development. So we are also going to use the turbo pack, and we do not need to customize our import aliases. So now this will install all the necessary packages for a Next.js 15 project. So let's wait some time to complete the installation. So our installation is completed. Now we have this all of this file. So first we have this tsconfig.json. We do not need to do anything. Then we have this readme file, post css, package json, and we do not need to do anything in this file. Our main directory is this app. So here we have this fab icon. Then we have this global.css. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove all of these because we are going to start from the scratch. So I'm going to hit save. Then we have this layout folder. The layout is the overall wrapper of our project. So for example, if you add a navbar, then we have the children, and then we have footer. Then this navbar and footer will be added to all the pages that we are going to create. So we are going to export this later. Next we have this page.tsx. So this is the main page. So when you go to the localhost 3000, this page will appear to the screen. So first I'm going to remove all of this here. Then I'm going to use a shortcut RAFC to create a component boilerplate, and I'm going to name it homepage. So if you wonder how I create this component boilerplate using shortcut, so for this you need to install a extension, and the extension you need is this one, ES7 plus React Redux React Native snippet. By installing this extension, you can use the shortcut to generate a component boilerplate. Then I'm going to check our Tailwind if it is working or not. So I'm going to use a class name, and let's say text 5xl and text red 600. Now I'm going to hit save, and I'm going to use npm run date to run our project. And then I'm going to open a browser, and then I'm going to use localhost 3000 to run our project in the browser. So now you can say we have the bigger text and a red color. That means our tailwind is working properly. So I'm going to remove this class name because we do not need it, and then hit save. Next we have this public, and here I am going to create a folder called images. So here we are going to add our images that we are going to use in our project. So I'm going to copy some of the images that we are going to use in our project, and don't worry, this image is given to the starter file, and the starter file is in the description. So I'm going to copy this and paste it here. So this is our images, some of the images that we are going to use in this project. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to split our terminal, and I'm going to install a npm package for the icons, because in your project we need to use some of icons. So for the icons we are going to use react icon. So I'm going to use npm install react icons. Then I'm going to hit enter. So this will install react icons to our project. So it installed successfully. Next what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a component folder, and inside this I'm going to create a helper folder. So in the helper folder we are going to add the component for helper component, the component that will help to build other components. We are going to add these types of helper component in our helper folder. Then I'm going to create a home folder. So in the home folder we are going to add our all the home page related stuff. So here first I'm going to create a home.tsx, and I'm going to use RFC to create the component boilerplate, and then I'm going to add this in our app. So here inside this div we are going to use our home component. So that's how our home page component will be neat and clean. So we are going to add our home component in our home page, and we're going to add other home page related component like the hero section, the services section. We're going to add those components here. So that's how we'll have a clean home page component. And here I'm going to add a class name to overflow hidden. So we do not want any overflow in our project. That's it. Next, what I am going to do is I am going to configure our font and metadata. So for that, let's go to the layout. Here we can configure our font as well as our metadata. Here you can see they give us some font, default font. So we are going to remove this and also remove this from here. And we are going to use Rajdhani from our font and Google. Then I'm going to create a constant and I'm going to name this font, and I'm going to use this Rajdhani font, and inside this first I'm going to add the font weight. So we're going to use 300, 400, 500, 600 and 700. Then we are going to add a substrate, and the substrate will be Latin. That's it. So here we have an extra comma. So this is our font. Now we are going to add this here. So I'm going to remove all of these, and I'm going to use font dot class name. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have different types of text. That means our font is working. Next we are going to configure our metadata. So metadata is very important for SEO purposes. So here for the title I am going to use software landing page, and here I'm going to use a description like software landing page using Next.js. If you want, you can add your own title and description. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our software landing page, and here we have home. So that's awesome. So we successfully configure our font and metadata. So this is it for our project setup. Now I'm going to teach you the basic routing in Next.js. So if I go to the home page, so here we are going to explore. So first we have localhost 3000, which is our this page, our page.tsx. Then we are going to explore localhost 3000 slash about, let's say for the about page. And then we are going to use another nested one, like let's say localhost 3000 slash about slash, let's say, team. And finally we're going to explore the dynamic routing. So 3000 slash, let's say, product slash the product id, let's say 1. So we are going to explore all of this in Next.js. So for the localhost 3000, we already have this page.tsx, and when you go to the localhost 3000, this page will appear to the screen. Now to create the about page, what you need to do is you need to create a folder here using the same name here. So if you want about, you need to name it about. If you want shop, you need to name this folder shop. And then in the about, you need to create a page.tsx, and it is important, you must need to name it page.tsx, otherwise it will not work. So here I am going to use rfc to create a component boilerplate, and let's say about, and let's name it about page. Now if I hit save and go to our project, and if I go to slash about, and now you can see we are in the about page. Awesome. So it's very easy to create different pages in Next.js just using this folder structure. So let's go to our home page. So this is our about page. Now let's say in the about page you have a team, and you need to go to this. So slash about slash team. So what you need to do is you need to create another folder inside this about folder. So this about will give us this about, and then this theme folder will give the next team. And here I'm going to create a page.tsx. So I'm going to move this here, and in this page I'm going to name it theme page. Theme page inside about. Now if I hit save, and if I go to our project, and now if I go to the about page, you can see now we do not have any about page, because in the about folder we don't have any page.tsx. But if I go to the about slash team, now you can see we're in the team page inside about. That's awesome. So this is the nested routing in Next.js. Now let's explore a dynamic routing like this one, where we have a product and we have an ID and we don't know what the ID is. It can be 1, it can be 100, it can be 1000. So first let me delete this one about. So this just for the demo purposes. So it's deleted. So here I'm going to create a folder for this one, the product. So product. And to create the dynamic routing, we need to use this third bracket, and here we need to give this a name, the name we expect to receive. For example, if we want to accept ID, we need to give this a name ID. If it is a name, you need to give this a name. So here let's say we want ID, so I'm going to use ID, and then inside this folder we need to create a page.tsx. Now if I use RAFC to create a component, and let's say product details, that's it. Now if I go to our project, and if I go to slash product slash 100, now you can see we are in the product details page. So we are in the dynamic routing. So here we are in the product detail page. Now if you want to extract the value of this ID, you can also do this using the params. So here we're going to receive a params, and we need to make this a async function, because now we need to use the asynchronous function to get the params value. So here we will get the ID by await. So await params dot id. So now if I add this ID here, so let's say the ID. Now if I go to our project, and you can see here we have 100. So if you use 1000 here, now you can see here we have 1000. So that's how the dynamic routing works. So here it gives us the complaint because of the TypeScript. So for now, let's don't think about the TypeScript, because we're going to use the TypeScript when we actually building our Next.js landing page here. So this is just the demo for the nested routing. So this is it for our nested routing. So now I am going to remove this folder from here because we do not need it. So it's deleted. So now you have an understanding of how routing works in Next.js, both the static routing and dynamic routing. So that's it for the routing in Next.js. Now we are going to build the navbar. So if I show you the navbar in the deployed version, here you can see we have logo, we have some nav links, we have a button for create account, and we have a theme toggler. So now we are going to build this navbar. So for this, I'm going to create a new folder inside my home, and I'm going to name this navbar. And inside this I'm going to create three files. First one is nav.tsx, and I'm going to use RFC to create the component boilerplate, and this one is for the large screen navbar. Then I'm going to create a mobile nav.tsx, and I'm going to use RFC to create the component boilerplate, and this one is for our mobile navigation bar, which is the sidebar. Then I'm going to create a responsive nav.tsx. So here we are going to add our mobile navbar and our navbar, and then we are going to add the responsive functionality here. So I'm going to use RFC to create the component boilerplate. Then here inside this responsive nav, I'm going to add our navbar, and also we're going to add mobile navbar. That's it. Now if I hit save and go to our project, we don't have anything because we do not add it. So where we are going to add this, we're going to add this in our layout. So in the layout, so here we have the children, and we're going to add our navbar at the top of everything. So here I'm going to add our responsive nav. Now if I hit save and go to our project, now you can see we have our nav and mobile nav. So first we are going to work on the nav. So I'm going to comment it out, the mobile nav here, and also comment it from here. And first we are going to implement our large screen navbar. So first go to our nav.tsx, and here at the first div we are going to add a class name of transition. So why we are using a transition all here? Because we are going to add some animation in our navbar. So if I show you the deployed version, here you can see when I start scrolling, the navbar changes background color smoothly. So that's why we are going to use this transition all. Then after this transition all, we are going to have a duration of 200 millisecond. Then we have height of 12 VH, and then Z index will be 100. This one will be fixed positioning, and width will be full. And I'm going to hit save. And if I go to the deployed version, here you can see our navbar initially doesn't have any background color. It have the background of this hero section, but for now I am going to give a demo background color, or you can say a dummy background color, to our navbar. So let's go to our project, and here I am going to add a BG blue 900. We are going to replace this with our hero section background color when we start implementing our hero section. Now if I go to our project, here you can see we now have a background color. Now inside this div we have another div with class name of flex. Items will be center, height will be full, justify will be between, then we have width will be 90%, in extra large screen width will be 80%, and then MX will be auto. Now inside this div, first we have logo. So here I am going to give a comment here, and if I show you the deployed version, we are not using an image as a logo. We're using the text and some icons here. So if you want, you can use an image for the logo. So here we have a div with class name of flex. Items will be center, and SpaceX will be 2. Now inside this we have another div with class name of width 10, height 10, BG will be pink 500, rounded full, then flex items will be center, justify center, and flex will be in the column direction. Now hit save, and inside this div we'll have an icon which is GR technology, comes from React icons. If you remember, we installed React icons in our project. Now this icon will have a class name of width 6, height 6, and text will be white. Now I'm going to hit save. Now if I go to our project, as you can see, we have this icon with this rounded background, which looks amazing. Then after this, we have a h1 with the text dev tech, and this h1 will have a class name of text excel hidden smaller devices block, and smaller and large screen we are going to show this text, and in the mobile devices we are going to hide this text. Then in medium screen, text will be to excel, and text color will be white, and font will be bold. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our logo, so just like this one. So after the logo we have our nav links. So here we have our nav links. So for the nav links, what I'm going to do is I'm going to first create a new folder at the root level, and I'm going to name it constant. So here we are going to add our constants variables. So here I'm going to create a constant.ts, and here I'm going to create a constant variable for our nav. So I'm going to use const. So before that I'm going to export const navlinks and make it uppercase, and it is an array of object, and the object will contains an id, then a url. So for now I'm going to use hash. So when you actually building multi-page application, you can use that url here, and the label here will be home, and we have 6 of them, so I'm going to copy this 5 more times. So let's copy, and then the second one will be id2, and the label will be company. Then we have id3 with the label services. Then we have level 4 id4 with the label portfolio. Then we have id5 with label block, and id6 with the label contact. By doing this, you can easily delete or add new nav links here, and we're going to use one styling, and that will be applied for all of the nav links. But if you use individual nav links, then you have to also add individual styling for that nav links. That's why we're creating this array. Now let's go to the nav.tsx again, and here first I'm going to add a div with class name of hidden. So this one will be hidden in the smaller devices, and in large screen this one will be flex. Items will be center, and SpaceX will be 10. Now inside this div we are going to use our nav links from the constants, and we are going to map through it, which will give us the individual link, and we are going to return here a link component from our next link. And this is not a self-closing, So link. Now this link will have some property. First one is the href, which will be link dot id. Then we have not link dot id, href will be link dot url. Then key will be link dot id, and then we have some class name. Text will be wide, text will be large, info bar text will be pink 300, font will be semi bold, and we have transition all, and duration will be 200 milliseconds. And inside this link we will have a p tag with link dot label. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so here we have this which not looks correct. Let's go to our constant. So here everything's okay, and here we have this extra slash. So now if I hit save, now you can see we have this nav links with hover effect. So just like this one. Awesome. And you can see how easy it is to implement the nav links with the constant array. We can just use this one line of styling and that will be applied to all of the links. That's awesome. Next we have buttons. So buttons here. So first we have a div with class name of flex. Items will be centered and SpaceX will be 4. Now inside this div we first have a first button, which is the create account button, and here we have a tag with the href of age, and this a tag will have a class name of tx will be 5, ty will be 2.5. This one will be relative and rounded. Then we have group, font will be medium, text will be white, and this one will be inline block. Then inside this a tag we have a span, and the span have a class name of absolute, top 0, left 0, width will be full, height will be full, rounded, opacity will be 50. Then we have filter, then we have blur small, then bg will be gradient to br, from purple 600 to blue 500. That's it. Then we have another span, and this span will have a class name of height full, width full, inset 0, absolute, margin top will be 0.5, margin left will be 0.5, bg will be gradient to br. Then we have filter, group active, opacity 0. Then we have rounded, opacity will be 50. From purple 600 to blue 500. That's it. Then we have another span with class name of absolute. Inset will be 0. Width will be full. Height will be full. Transition all. Duration will be 200. Ease out. Rounded. Shadow will be Excel. Then we have BG gradient to BR, filter. Then we have group active, opacity 0, and group hover. So in the group hover will be blur small, and from purple 600 to blue 500. That's it. Then we have another span with class name of absolute. Inset will be 0. Width will be full. Height will be full. Transition. Then we have duration of 200. Ease out. Then we have rounded. BG will be gradient to BR. 2 will be purple 600. From will be blue 500. Then we have another span with class name of relative. And then inside the span we will have our text create account. That's it. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our create account button. Awesome. And when you click, you can see the animation. It's just like this one. So now we have our create account button. So after the create account button, we have this theme toggler. So we are going to implement it later when we implement the dark mode, light mode. So for now, I am going to just add a comment here. So after this first button, we will have our theme toggler. After the theme toggler, we have a burger menu to open and close our sidebar. So here we are going to use a icon which is iBurst 3 bottom right, and this one will have a class name of width 8, height 8, cursor will be pointer, and text will be white. So now if I hit save and go to our project, you can see we have our menu bar, but this menu bar will be hidden. It will only appear in the mobile devices. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a LG hidden. So it will only be visible in the smaller device. Now if I go to our project, you can see it's now hidden. And if I inspect, you can see in the mobile devices it appeared to the screen. So in the mobile devices we have this logo icon, the button, and then the menu bar. So menu icon. So this is our large screen navigation bar. Now we are going to implement the scroll feature of our navbar. So in the deployed version here you can see initially the navbar doesn't have any background color, but when I start scrolling it will change its background color. So now we are going to implement this feature. So for this, let's go to our nav.tsx, and at the top first I am going to convert this into a client component using useCoin. In Next.js, every component is by default a server component, and in server component you can't use any kind of hooks. To use hooks you need to convert your component a client component, and you can convert your client component using this use client directive at the top. Now here I'm going to use a constant navbg and set navbg, and I'm going to use state hooks here, and initially false. Initially we don't have any background color. Next I'm going to use effect hooks here, so use effect hooks and the dependency array, empty dependency array, and inside this I'm going to create a function called handler, and here I'm going to create an arrow function, and then I'm going to check if window dot scroll in the y direction if it is greater than or equal to 90. In that case we are going to set our navbg to true, and if it is not, I'm going to copy this and paste it here, and if it is less than 90 then we are going to make it false. That's it. Now after this we are going to use window dot add event listener. We are going to listen for the scroll event, and then we are going to add our handler function. So in the scroll event we are going to add this handler function. Then we are going to add a cleanup function, because when we add event listener in our use effect, it is best practice to use the remove event listener in the cleanup function. So I'm going to use a cleanup function here. I'm going to copy this and paste it here, and instead of the add event listener we are going to use remove event listener. That's it. Now here in the first div I am going to convert this into a template literal form, so that we can insert a variable here, or we can run some condition here. So here after the transition all we are going to check, so if the navbg is true, in that case we are going to add a bg blue 900 and a shadow of md, otherwise just fixed. That's it. Now here let's use a bg blue 500 for our default color, so that we can understand the change. Now in the home I'm going to add some height so that we can able to scroll. So we're going to use height of 2000 pixels. Now if I hit save and go to our project, now you can see initially we have this color, but when I start scrolling, so it's not changing its color. Let me refresh the page, and you can see after reload the page, it's working. So sometimes things when not work, try to refresh or reload your website. And here you can see it's changing its background color smoothly. So the color will be adjusted when we are going to add this hero section. For now it's okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to now remove this and hit save, then go to the navbar, and for the default color let's use the 900 also. So now this is our navbar or large screen navbar. Next we are going to build the mobile navigation bar, which is the sidebar. So first let's go to the responsive nav, and now let's uncomment this and also uncomment this import, and then go to the mobile nav.tsx, and here inside this first div we will have a overlay first. So first we have an overlay. So I'm going to use a div with class name of fixed. We're going to use inset of 0, transform, then transition will be all, duration will be 500 millisecond, z index will be 1002, then we have a background of black, and opacity will be 70, width will be full, and height will be screen. So height screen. If I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our overlay. So let's make it in the mobile size. So now you can see we have the black overlay. So next, after the overlay, we have our nav links, and here we're going to use a div with class name of text white fixed, then we have justify, center, flex will be in the column direction, then height will be full, we're going to use transform, we're going to use transition all, duration will be 500 millisecond, and we're going to add a delay of 300 milliseconds. Now I'm going to explain you why we are using the delay. So in the deployed version, if I inspect, and here you can see when I click this button, first the overlay comes, and after some delay the actual sidebar comes to the screen. That's why we are using the delay. So here that's why we are using this delay and this transition property. So after this delay 300, we have width of 80%, and then we have a smaller devices, width will be 60%, background will be blue 900, then we have space y of 6 and z index of 1050. That's it. Now it's saved, and now inside this div we are going to use our nav links from our constants. So nav links from our constants, and we are going to map to it. We will get the individual links here, and we are going to return a link component from next link, and this link will have some properties. So first one is the key. The key will be link.id, then we will have a href which is link.url, then we have inside this div, inside this link we have a p tag with our link.label, and this p tag will have some class name. So we're going to use class name of text white, width will be fit, text will be lg, lg means 18 pixel, so let's use excel, which is 20 pixel, and then margin left will be 12, border bottom will be 1.5 pixel, and padding bottom will be 1, and border will be white, and smaller devices text will be 30 pixels. Smaller and large screen text will be 30 pixels. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our nav links and the sidebar. So it looks just like this one. Now we need this cross icon to close the navbar. So let's go to our code, and here after the link tag we are going to have our cross icon for close the navbar, and here we're going to use a CJ close from React icons, and here we will have some class name absolute, then we have top will be 0.7 RAM, right will be 1.4 RAM, in smaller devices which will be 8, smaller and large screen which will be 8, smaller and large screen height will be 8, otherwise which will be 6, height will be 6. Now if I hit save and go to our project, now you can see here we have our close icon just like this one. Next we need to implement the functionality for open and close the sidebar. So for this let's go to the responsive nav.tsx, and here convert this into a client component using use client, and here we are going to add some state variable. So I'm going to use const show nav, and we're going to set show nav, and here we're going to use state, and initially this one will be false. That's it. So after the state variable I'm going to create two functions. So first one is open nav handler, which is an arrow function, and here I'm going to set our show nav to true. So when this function is triggered, the open nav handler, we will set our show nav to true. And another function is close nav handler, which will be an arrow function, and here we are going to set our show nav to false. So when this function is triggered, our navbar will be closed. Now we are going to pass this in our nav and mobile navbar. So in the navbar we are going to add a props open nav, and we are going to pass our open nav handler, and in the mobile nav I'm going to pass a show nav, which is our show nav function, not show nav function, or show nav variable, and also we're going to pass the close nav, which is our close nav handler function. So now we have to receive these props in our navbar and mobile navbar, and we need to give them the proper type definition because here we are using the TypeScript. So first let's go to the nav.tsx, and here at the top I'm going to create a type, and I'm going to name this props. You can name anything you want. You can name it nav props, you can name it nav, but I'm going to name it props. And here we are receiving a props name open nav, and which is a function that return void. That's it. Now we are going to pass this here, the props, and we are going to import the open nav. And when we click on this burger menu, we are going to trigger our open nav function. We are going to call our open nav function and open the sidebar. So here we are going to call our open nav. That's it. Now let's go to the mobile nav, and here we are going to use type prop, and here we are receiving a show nav which is a type of boolean, and we are also receiving a close nav, which is a function that return void. That's it. Now I'm going to pass this here props, and I'm going to import the close nav and show nav. And when we click on this cross icon, we're going to trigger our close nav. We're going to close our navbar. Now, based on the show nav, we're going to show the sidebar and we're going to hide the sidebar. So here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a custom style. So I'm going to name this nav open, and here we're going to check if our show nav is true. Then we're going to use translate x0. That means we are going to show the sidebar. Otherwise, we're going to use translate x minus 100%. That means we are going to hide our sidebar from the screen. So now we need to add this in our overlay as well as our this div. So I'm going to convert this into a template literal format. And here we have a typing mistake. So this one will be hide screen. That's it. And here let's remove this double quotation and let's add our nav open, and we're going to do same for this. So convert this into a template literal and then add the nav open here. That's it. Now if I go to our project, so here if I click here, so let's reload the page first, and now if I click here, you can see the Navbar open with very smooth animation and it close, and you can see first the overlay come to the screen and then the sidebar come to the screen. Awesome. So this is our large screen navbar where we have the nav links, and then this is our mobile navigation bar where we have the sidebar. So everything works properly. So our navbar is completed. Next, we are going to build the hero section. So if I show you the hero section, here you can see we have some text content and an image. So now we are going to build this. So to build this, I am going to create a new folder inside my home, and I'm going to name this hero. And inside this, I'm going to create a file called hero.tsx. And I'm going to use RFC to create a component boilerplate. And then I'm going to add this in my home. So in the home, inside this div, we're going to add our hero. So that's it. Now if I hit save and go to our project, here you can't see the hero section because our navbar is a fixed positioning. So let's start implementing the design for the hero section. So let's go to the hero sections, and the first div will have a class name of relative. Then we have bg blue 950. Then width will be full, height will be screen. Then we have flex, justify will be center, and flex will be in the column direction. Now if I hit save and if I go to our project, here you can see we have this background color and we have the text hero here. Now we are going to remove this navbar background color because navbar background will take the hero section background color. So let's go to our nav.tsx, and at the top let's remove this background color. Now if I hit save and go to our project, here you can see now it looks amazing. So just like our deployed version. So next let's go to our hero section, and here inside this div we have another div with class name of width will be 90%, in medium screen width will be 80%, image will be auto, Then we have items will be center. We're going to use grid, and then grid calls will be 1 for small and mobile devices, and in extra large we'll have grid call 2 and we'll have a gap of 10. Now inside this div we have text content. So this div is for the text content, and then we have image content. So let's say this div is for the image content. Now inside the text content div we have first a p tag, and the text content I'm going to copy this from here. So you can use any random text you want. So I'm going to copy this and paste it here, and this p tag will have a class name of text small. In smaller devices text will be base. In medium screen text will be Excel. Font will be bold, and text color will be white. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have the text, the top company development, software development company. So just like this one. Next we have this heading, so I'm going to copy this from here, and let's add a comment here, subheading, and after the p tag we will have our heading. So here I'm going to use a h1 with the text, and here I'm going to use this span, and inside this span I'm going to add this text business. Now this h1 will have a class name of text for Excel. In medium screen text will be 5 Excel. In large screen text will be 7 Excel. Margin top will be 6, margin bottom will be 6, font will be bold, text color will be white, leading will be 2.5 RAM in smaller devices, and in medium and large screen leading will be 4 RAM. Then after the leading we are going to add this span some styling. So I'm going to add a class name of text yellow 300. Now I'm going to hit save, and now if I go to our project, here you can see we have our heading. So just like this one, so providing software solution for any business, for your any business, and you can see it looks amazing, and the business have different color like the yellow. So after this heading we have this description. So I'm going to copy the text from here, and you can use any random text you want. So after the heading we will have description. So description, and here we will have a p tag with the description, and the p tag will have a class name of text small. Smaller devices text will be base. Then we have font medium, and then text grade 300. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our description, so just like this one, but I think the font is smaller, and here in the medium screen we have text large. Now if I hit save and go to our project, and now it looks like this one. So next we have this beautiful hover animation button. So let's go to our project. So after the description we have button. So first we have a div here with class name of margin top of 8, flex will be in the column direction. In smaller devices flex will be in the row direction. We don't actually need this div here. We can use the a tag, and the href will be hash, and this a tag will have some class name. So first we have relative, then we have inline flex, items will be center, justify will be start, then we have px will be 6, py will be 3, overflow will be hidden, then we have font medium, transition all, background will be white, and we have rounded, and in hover vg will be white, and we're going to use group. Now inside this a tag we have a span, and the span have a class name of width 48, height will be 48, rounded, and rotate will be -40°, pg will be purple 600. We're going to use absolute positioning for this pen. Then we have bottom of 0, left will be 0. We're going to use minus translate x, full. Then we have ease out, duration will be 500 millisecond. Then we're going to use the transition of all. We're going to use translate y, full. Margin bottom will be 9, margin left will be 9, and in the group hover, margin left will be 0, and in group hover, margin bottom will be 32. Also in the group hover, so group hover, the translate x will be 0. Then we have another span with class name of relative. Then we have width will be full, text will be left, font will be bold, then we have text black, and we're going to do the transition of colors, duration will be 300 millisecond, ease in out, and in the group hover, translate x will be 0. No, in hover here we will have a text color of white, and then inside this pen we will have the text. So inside this pen we have the text discover more. Now if I hit save and let's go to our project, so here we have this button with this beautiful animation. So here we need some padding from the top, so let's add a padding top of 8. Now if I hit save, now we have the padding, not padding, margin at the top, and now it looks amazing, and we have this awesome hover effect, so just like this one. Next we have the image here, so let's go to our project, and inside this div we have our image. So first let's add some class name for the div. So the div will have an image of auto, and this one will be hidden in the mobile devices, and in the externals we are going to make this a block element. Now inside this div we will have our image from next image, and the image will have source. So the source will be slash images slash hero.png. The alt will be 0, then the width will be 900 and the height will be 900. Now if I hit save and go to our project, here you can see we have our beautiful image, and the full section looks exactly like this one. So let's check the responsiveness, if it is responsive or not. So if I inspect and if I select mobile devices, you can see in mobile devices it fit perfectly. We have our sidebar for our nav, we have the heading, the paragraph text, and the button. Everything looks awesome. So our hero section is completed. Now we are going to implement the dark mode and light mode feature in our project. So in the deployed version, you can see we have this toggle mode to go to the dark mode or light mode if we want. So now we are going to implement this feature in our project. So for this, I am going to use a npm package which is called Next Themes, and it's very popular theme that you can use to manage your theme state like the dark mode or light mode. So in this project, we are going to use this Next Themes npm package. And if you can see here, their weekly download is huge, and it's a very popular library to manage dark mode and light mode themes. So first let's copy this npm script from here and then run here to install the next theme. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a folder called HOC for higher order function, higher order component in our project. So here I'm going to create a file called provider. Provider.tsx. And then I'm going to use RFC to create a component boilerplate. And then here we are going to receive children as a prop, which is a type of, so children is a type of React node. That's it. And then at the top, I'm going to import something from Next Themes. And here we're going to import theme provider, not theme provider props, theme provider. And then here I'm going to remove everything and I'm going to use theme provider. And inside this theme provider we will have our children, and in the theme provider we're going to pass attributes will be class, and then we're going to use enable system, and then default theme will be the system. So that means the default theme will be your system preference. So if your system preference is dark mode, then the website will be in dark mode. If your system preference is in the light mode, then initially it will be in the light mode. Then you can toggle it to light or dark mode if you want. So this is it. Then I'm going to open the layout, and here I'm going to wrap everything inside the body with the provider. So I'm going to use provider from our HOC provider, and we're going to wrap our responsive nav children in this provider. That's it. And here in the HTML, I'm going to use a suppress hydration warning. That's it. Next, go to your browser, and if you search for Tailwind dark mode, so in Tailwind version 3 we use the dark mode in the config file, but in Next.js version 4 we don't have any next config file for Tailwind CSS. so Tailwind config file in our project. So we need to add this custom variant to our global.css. So I'm going to copy it from here. Let's remove this and then go to the global.css and add it here. So that's it. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a theme toggler so that we can toggle between dark and light. So in the helper, I'm going to create a component called theme toggler.tsx. And here I'm going to use RFC to create a component boilerplate. And then at first, I'm going to convert this into a client component using use client. And then inside this, first I'm going to create a state variable for mounted and set mounted, and we're going to use state, and initially this one will be false. Then I'm going to use a constant and we're going to import some of this thing from use theme, and use theme is coming from our next theme. So here we are going to import theme, then we're going to set theme and system theme. That's it. Then I'm going to use a use effect hooks with an empty dependency array, and inside this we're going to set our mounted to true. That's it. And then we are going to check if not mounted, then we are going to return null. So if the component is not mounted, then we are going to return null. Then we are going to find what is the current theme. We are going to use current theme will be if theme is equal to system, then the system theme then the system theme will be the theme. That's it. That's how we are going to find the current theme. And then here we are going to return a button, and this button first will have an on click property. So when we click on this button, we are going to set our theme, and here we are going to check if the current theme is equal to dark. If it is dark, then we are going to make this a light theme. Otherwise, if it is light, we are going to make this a dark theme. That's it. So after the on click, we have a class name of padding 2 and transition. Now inside this button, we are going to check the current theme. If the current theme is dark, then we are going to add a bi sun icon from React icons, and this one will have some class name. So class name will be text white, width will be 8, height will be 8, cursor will be pointer. That's it. And if it is not dark, then we are going to use a vi moon, and here we're going to use a class name of text white, width will be 8, height will be 8, and cursor pointer. Now let's hit save and let's go to our Navbar. So in the Navbar nav.tsx here, if you remember, we have this comment for the theme toggler. So here I'm going to add our theme toggler here. Now if I hit save, and here I have the typing mistake theme toggler, you can correct it to the correct spelling with double G. So I'm not going to fix it now. So I'm going to hit save, and if I go to our project, and here you can see we have a button. So if I click here, it will go to the light mode and dark mode. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some height in our website. So in the home, let's add a height of 2000 pixels. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we are in the light mode. So if I click here, it will go to the dark mode, and you can see smoothly it changed from dark mode to light mode. So awesome. So when we add our other component, it will be look more professional when we switch from light mode to dark mode. So our dark mode light mode functionality is completed. Next, we are going to build a services section. So if I show you the services section, here you can see we have some heading, a button, and some services card. So in the light mode, here you can see it also have a hover effect. So now let's build this section. So to build this section, let's go to our code, and here first I'm going to remove this height from here, and then I'm going to create a new folder inside my home, and I'm going to name it services, and inside this I'm going to create a services.tsx, and I'm going to use RFC to create a component boilerplate, and then I'm going to add this in our home. So after the hero, we will have our services section. That's it. If I go to our code, here you can see we have the text services. Now let's go to the services, and here the first div have a class name of padding top of 16, padding bottom of 16. Then inside this div we'll have another div with class name of width will be 80% and mx will be auto. Then inside this div we have another div with class name of grid. Grid calls will be 1. In large screen, grid calls will be 2. Gap will be 10. Items will be center. Now inside this div we have a h1 with the text what we provide. Now this h1 will have a class name of text lg. In smaller devices and large screen, text will be excel. In medium and large screen, text will be 2XL. Then font will be bold. Text blue will be 700. And in the dark mode, here we are using this dark property to give the styling for our dark mode. So in the dark mode, we want text pink 500. That's it. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our text what we provide. So just like this one, but here it is uppercase. So let's make it uppercase. That's it. So now it looks good just like this one what we provide. Then we have this heading, so I'm going to copy this from here, and also I'm going to add a comment here is the section heading. And then after the h1 we have another h1 with the text I copy from our deployed version, and this h1 will have a class name of text excel. Smaller devices, text will be 3XL. In medium screen, text will be 4XL. margin top will be 1, font will be bold. If I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our text, but it's not looks good because this h1 and both h1 will be inside a div. So let's create a div and copy it from here and paste it here. Now if I hit save and go to our project, now you can see now it looks good, just like this one. Then we have this button. So let's go to our code. So after this div, we have a button. So we're going to use another div with class name of in large screen mx will be auto, not mx, email margin left will be auto. Now inside this div we will have a tag with href of hash, and inside this a tag we will have all services. Now this a tag will have a class name of with full, py will be 4, text will be base, smaller devices text will be lg, in medium screen text will be excel, text will be center, then text will be white, transition will be colors, then we have font semi bold, duration will be 300 millisecond, bg will be blue 800, rounded will be full, uppercase, in hover bg will be blue 900, and this one will be ease, px will be 9, and px will be 9, and in medium screen width will be auto. Now if I hit save and let's go to our project, so here you can see we have our all services button with the hover effect, so just like this one. Next we have this services card. So for the services card I am going to create a separate component named service card .ts. So this will make our project more modular and we can reuse our service card component again and again. So that's how we are going to create a reusable component. Now in the services, after this div, we have our services card. So here we have a div with class name of grid. Grid calls will be 1. In medium screen, grid calls will be 2. In large screen, grid calls will be 3. Gap will be 4. Items will be center. Padding top will be 16. Now let's hit save. Then inside this we have a div, and inside this div we will have our service card. And in the service card we are going to pass some props. The first one is the image that we are going to pass here. So image will be /images/s1.png. Then we are going to pass a title. For the first one, the title is custom software development. That's it. So we have 6 of them, so I'm going to copy it 5 more time. So this is the first one. The second one, the image will be s2.png, and the title will be website design and development. So this one is the third one, so s3, and here the title will be cloud computing and hosting services. Hosting service. Then this one is the A4, and the title will be AI and machine learning integration. That's it. Next we have S5, and here the title will be Android and iOS apps development. And then we have the last one, this number 6, so S6, and here the title will be 3D graphics and vector designing. Vector designing. That's it. So these are the props we are going to send with this service card. Now let's go to the service card and receive this prop. So in the service card, at the top I am going to receive a type props, and here we are receiving an image of type string, and we are receiving a title of type string, and here we are going to pass our props, and here I'm going to import the image and title. That's it. Now here the first div have a class name of padding 6 cursor pointer. Then in the hover the bg will be blue 800, not 700, this one is 800. Then we have transition of all, and duration will be 500 millisecond. We're going to use group relative positioning. bg will be gray 100. Then in the dark mode we're going to add a bg blue 950, and we're going to use a shadow and rounded XO. If I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our card with this hover effect. So next, after this div, inside this div we have an image. So I'm going to use the image from next image, and here the source will be the image we are receiving as a props. The alt, let's say the alt will be the title we are receiving as a props, and width will be 60 and height will be 60, and we have a class name of object content. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see now we have these icons which looks awesome, so just like this one. Next we have this title. So after the image we have a h1 with the title, and this h1 will have a class name of text excel. Margin top will be 5, font will be semi bold. Group hover, in the group hover we'll have text of white, transition all, duration will be 500 milliseconds. Then we have a p tag with some random text. I am going to copy the random text from here, so let's copy it from here and paste it here. And this p tag will have a class name of margin top of 4, font will be medium, text will be gray 500. In the dark mode the text will be gray 200, and in the group hover text will be grade 300, transition all, and duration will be 500 millisecond. If I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our hover effect, and the text is in the hover, the text is changes color from black to white, so it looks awesome. Next we have this learn more button. So after the P we have a div with class name of margin top of 6, text will be Excel, font will be medium, then we have flex, items will be center, gap will be 1, in the group hover the text will be white, the transitions will be all, and the duration will be 500 milliseconds. Now inside this div we have a span path with learn more, and then we have another span with a go arrow upright button. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our learn more button, and we also have the hover effect, and it looks amazing. Now let's check in the dark mode. So in the dark mode you can see it also fit perfectly. Now we have different color, background color here, and we have different hover effect, and it looks amazing. Now let's check the responsiveness. So if I inspect and select the mobile devices, you can see in mobile devices it also fit perfectly without any issue. And let's check in the iPad devices. In iPad devices it also fit perfectly without any issue. And let's see in the light mode. So you can see in light mode it also looks amazing in the iPad as well as in the mobile phone. So our services section is completed. Next we are going to build the about us section. So if I show you the about us section, here you can see we have an image and some information about this landing page. So to build this I am going to create a new folder inside my code. So inside my home I am going to create a new folder, and I am going to name it about, and inside this I am going to create a about.tsx, and I'm going to use RFC to create a component boilerplate, and then I'm going to add this in my home. So after the services I'm going to add this about. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have the text about. So now let's go to the about.tsx, and the first div will have a class name of pt of 16 and padding bottom of 16. Now inside this div we will have another div with class name of width will be 80%, mx will be auto, then we have grid calls will be 1, and in larger screen grid calls will be 2, gap will be 10, and items will be center. Now inside this div we have another div, and this div is for the image div. So the image content, and then we have another div for the text content. So here we have another div. So inside this div we are going to use a image component from next image, and this image will have a source, and the source will be slash images slash about.png, and then we have a alt tag, let's say image, width will be 700, height will be 700. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our about image. So just like this one. Great. So next we are going to work on our text content div. So inside this div, first we have a p tag with the text about us, and this p tag will have a class name of text small. In smaller devices, text will be base. In medium screen, text will be extra large. Font will be bold. Text will be blue 700. In the dark mode, the text will be pink 500. That's it. Now if I go to our project, so here you can see we have our text about us, but here we have the uppercase, so let's make it uppercase. Now if I hit save, now it looks good. Then we have this heading, so I'm going to copy this from here, and then after the p tag we'll have h1 for this heading. This h1 will have a class name of text to excel. In medium screen, text will be 3xl. In large screen, text will be 5xl. Margin top will be 3. Font will be bold, and leading will be 1.8 RAM. Then in medium screen, leading will be 3 RAM. That's it. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have about us, and then we have our heading just like this one. Next we have this description, so I'm going to copy this, and then after the h1 we have a p tag with this description, and this p tag will have a class name of margin top of 3. Text gray will be 700. Then we have the dark mode, so in the dark mode the text gray will be 300. That's it. So now if I go to our project, so here you can see we have our description just like this one. Next we have this list type items. So to build this, first I'm going to create a div here. So after the p tag we will have a div with class name of margin top of 6. Grid calls will be 1, and smaller devices grid calls will be 2. Gap will be 6, and items will be center. Now inside this div we have another div with class name of flex. Items will be center, and gap will be 4. Now inside this div we will have an image which is coming from next image, and the source will be slash images slash a1.png. Then we have an alt tag for icon. It's the icon, and the width will be 50, height will be 50. And then after this image we have a h1. For the first one it is it in CTUR, IT infrastructure management, and this h1 will have a class name of text lg. Smaller devices, text will be excel. Font will be bold, and leading will be 5. Now if I hit save and let's go to our project, so here you can see we have the icon and the text just like this one. Next we have another one here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this again, and the second one, the image will be a2.png, and the text here will be cloud integration, and then we have a break tag, and we have service provides. Here also we have a break tag. That's it. So now if I go to our project, so here you can see we have now 2 items, so just like this one. Next we have 2 more. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this div and paste it underneath, and here this one will be a4, and here the text will be custom software, and then this one will be development. So this one will be at the top. So this one will be the a4, a3, and custom software. The last one will be a4, and the text will be instant supports. Then we have a break tag. So we have a break tag, and then we have any queries. That's it. Now if I go to our project, so here you can see we have now custom software development instance supports any query, just like this one. Awesome. Next we have this about more button. So let's go to our project. After this div, we have another div with class name of margin top of 12, and then inside this div we have a tag with the href of h hash, href of hash, and the text is about more, and this one will have a class name of with full, UI will be 4, text will be base, text will be center, text color will be white, transition will be colors, font will be semi bold, duration will be 300 millisecond, then we have bg of blue 800, rounded full, uppercase, and in the hover bg will be blue 900, this one will be ease, px will be 9, and in medium screen it will be auto. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our about more button with the hover effect, and if I click here it will go to the hash. So here if I use hash and then this, then it will not go to the top. So now if I click it will stay here, which is better I think, and we are going to do same for this all services button and discover more button. So first let's go to the hero section to fix this. So in the hero section, and when we have this, we're going to add this, and then in the services section we're going to do the same, and then let's go to our about section. So now by clicking this we will stay here and not go to the top, and same for this. So now let's check our about us section in the dark mode. So if I click here, you can see in dark mode the background is black and we have white text, which is awesome. Now let's check the responsiveness. So if I inspect and select the mobile devices, so here you can see in mobile devices everything fit perfectly. Let's check in the iPad devices. So in the iPad devices, it also fit perfectly. So our About Us section is completed. Next, we are going to build the Why Choose Us section. So if I show you the Why Choose section, so here you can see we have some text content, some list and a image. So to build this, first I'm going to create a new folder inside my home and I'm going to name it Why Choose, and inside this I'm going to create a file called Why Choose .tsx, and I'm going to use RFC to create a component boilerplate, and then I'm going to add this in the home. So after the about, I'm going to add Why Choose. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have the text Why Choose. So now let's go to the Why Choose component, and the first div have a class name of padding top will be 16, padding bottom will be 16. Then inside this div we have another div with class name of width will be 80%, image will be auto. We're going to use grid calls will be 1, in large screen grid calls will be 2, then we have gap of 10, and then items will be center. Now inside this div we will have the text content. So let's say this div is for the text content, and then we have the image content, and let's say this div is for the image content. So first let's start with the text content. So inside this div we have a p tag with the text Why Choose Us, and this p tag will have a class name of text small. In smaller devices text will be base, in medium screen text will be excel, font will be bold, text will be blue 700. Then in the dark mode we will have the text pink 500, and we have uppercase. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have the text Why Choose Us. So after this we have this heading, so I'm going to copy this from here, and then let's go to our Why Choose.tsx, and here after the h1, after the p we have a h1 with our heading, and this h1 will have a class name of text to excel. In medium screen text will be 3XL, in large screen text will be 5XL, margin top will be 3, font will be bold, leading will be 1.8 RAM, and we have in medium screen leading will be 3 RAM. Now let's hit save and go to our project. So now here we have our heading which looks awesome. So next we have a line here, so let's build this line. So let's add some comment here. So this is the subheading and this is the heading, and then we have the line. So here we have a div with class name of margin top will be 8, margin bottom will be 8, width will be full, height will be 1 pixel, bg will be gray 200. Then we have in the dark mode the bg will be gray 700. That's it. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have the line. So next we have this list type content. So let's go to our project. So after the lines we have list type feature, you can say, and here we have a div with class name of in smaller devices flex, space y will be 3, and in small and large string space y will be 0, items will be center, gap will be 6, so gap 6, and margin top will be 8 and margin bottom will be 8. Now inside this div we have another div with class name of flex, items will be center, width will be 16, height will be 16, outline will be 2, outline will be gray 200. In the dark mode we have outline will be gray 700, then rounded will be full, so rounded full, flex will be in the column direction, justify center, and inside this div we will have an icon which is fa rec file code from React icons, and here we have a class name of with 8, height will be 8, text will be blue 600. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have the icon with the rounded border just like this one. So then after this div we will have another div with class name of flex1, and inside this div we have a h1, and the text here first one will be free integration, and this h1 will have a class name of text excel, font will be bold, and then we have a p tag, and I'm going to copy the content from our deployed version. So here this is the text content. If you want you can use any random text or you can create your own text. So I'm going to paste it here, and the p tag will have a class name of margin top of 2, text will be gray 800, and in the dark mode text will be gray 300 and width will be 70%. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see it looks amazing. So we have the icon and the text content just like this one. So we have two more. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this 2 more time. So 1 2, and let's add a comment here. So this is the first item, then this is the second item. So here we are going to change the icons. So for the second one the icon will be gr resources, and here the title will be premium resources. So this is the second, then this is the third one, third item, and here the icon will be bi support, and the heading here will be unlimited support. So I'm not going to change the description here. If you want you can change the description. So now if I go to our project, so here you can see we have our 3 items, so just like this one, and it looks amazing. Next we have the image. So let's go to our code and let's go to the image content div here, and inside this we'll have an image from next image, and inside this source The source will be slash images slash wc.png, and the alt will be y choose. Then the width will be 800 and height will be 800. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have the image and this section looks amazing, professional. So now let me show you the dark mode here. So if I click here, you can see in dark mode everything looks perfect with dark background and white text. So let me show you the responsiveness also. So if I select a mobile devices, you can see in mobile devices everything fit perfectly. And let's see in the iPad version. So in the iPad it also fit perfectly. So our why choose a section is completed. Next we are going to build a software section. So if I show you the software section, here you can see we have section headings and 3 cards. So to build this section I am going to create a new folder inside my home, and I'm going to name this software, and inside this I'm going to create a software.tsx software.tsx, and I'm going to use RFC to create the component boilerplate, and then I'm going to add this in our home. So after white choose we'll have our software. That's it. Now if I hit save and go to our project, here you can see we have the text software. Now let's go to the software.tsx. In the first div have a class name of padding top of 16, padding bottom of 16, and then we have a div with class name of text center, and inside this div we will have a h1 with the text software, and this h1 will have a class name of uppercase. Then text will be large. In smaller devices text will be extra large. In medium screen text will be 2XL. Font will be bold. Text will be blue 700. Then in the dark mode the text will be pink 500. If I hit save and go to our project, there you can see we have the text software just like this one. Now we need this heading, so I'm going to copy it from here, and let's add some comment here, subheading, and then we have heading. So here I'm going to use the h1 with the copy text, and the h1 will have a class name of text excel. Smaller devices text will be 3XL. In medium screen text will be 4XL. Margin top will be 1 and font will be bold. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our text, and we are going to use a break tag after this innovative text. So let's go here, and here I'm going to use a break tag, so this will looks better in our website. So now you can see it looks better. Next we have this 3 card. So for the 3 card I'm going to use a separate component. So I'm going to create here a software card.tsx, and I'm going to use RFC to create a component boilerplate. And then here, so after this div we will have our cards, and first we have a div with class name of width will be 80%, mx will be auto, margin top will be 16. We are going to use grid calls will be 1. In medium screen grid calls will be 2. In extra large read calls will be 3, and we're going to use a gap of 10. Now inside this div we'll have another div, and inside this div we will have our software card. So software card, and we're going to pass some props here. So first one is the icon. The icon will be slash images slash i1.png, and then we're going to pass the title. So for the first one, the title will be best marketing software, and then we have two more, so I'm going to copy these two more time, and the second one will have the icon i2, and the third one will be i3. The second title will be product sales software. The third title will be, here we are also going to use the best marketing software. That's it. Now we need to receive this prop in our software card. So let's go to the software card, and here at the top we'll have type prop, and we're receiving an icon of type string, and also we're going to receive a title of type string. Now here we're going to pass our props, and we'll import the icon and title here. Now the first div here will have a class name of bg green 100. In the dark mode, the bg will be gray 800, and padding will be 6, rounded lg. That's it. Then inside this div we'll have the image. So I'm going to use next image, and the image will have the source of the props icon we receive. The alt, let's say icon width will be 50 and height will be 50. And if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our card with icons. Next, after the image, we have a h1 with title, and this h1 will have a class name of text excel. Margin top will be 6, font will be bold, and if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our title just like this one. Then I'm going to copy this random text, copy from here, and then after the h1 we'll have a p tag with this random text, and the p tag will have a class name of text gray 800. Dark, in the dark mode we have text gray of 300. Margin top will be 3, font will be medium. Now I'm going to hit save, and if I go to our project, so here you can see we have our description. Awesome. Next we have this button which is learn more. So let's go here. So after the p tag we'll have a button with the text learn more. This button will have a class name of px6, py will be 1.5, rounded full, then bg will be blue 800, margin top will be 4, font will be bold. Then we have in the hover, the background will be blue 950. Then we have transition of, duration will be 200 millisecond, cursor pointer, then we have text color white. If I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our learn more button. Now let me show you this section in the dark mode, and you can see in the dark mode it also looks amazing. Now if I inspect this and if I show you the responsiveness, you can see in the mobile devices it fit perfectly, and in the iPad devices it also fit perfectly. So our software section is completed. Next, we are going to build the project section. So if I show you the project section, here you can see we have the section heading, a button for all project, and some project image. So to build this, I am going to create a new folder inside my home, and I'm going to name this project. And inside this, I'm going to create a project.tsx, and I'm going to use RFC to create the component boilerplate, and then I'm going to add this in my home. So after the software, we'll have our project. That's it. Now if I hit save and go to our project, and here you can see we have the text project. Then go to the project.tsx, and here the first div have a class name of padding top of 16, padding bottom of 16. Then inside this div we'll have another div with class name of width will be 80%, image will be auto. Now if you see one thing, that is this section heading is similar to the services section heading. So what we are going to do is we are going to copy this code and change the text content. So let's go to our project and let's go to the services.tsx, and here let's copy this section heading and then go to the project.tsx, and inside this paste it here. And if you want, you can add a comment like heading, section heading. That's it. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so now we have the heading, but we need to change the content here. So here we have the latest work, so I'm going to copy this and paste it here, and then we have this heading, driving change with innovative successful projects. I'm going to copy this and paste it here. Now if I hit save and go to our project, here you can see we now have our section heading for our project section. So next, after the section heading, we have the project image. So project images. So here what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a div with class name of grid. Grid calls will be 1. In medium screen, grid calls will be 2. Then in larger screen, grid calls will be 3. Gap will be 6. And margin top will be 16. Now inside this div, we will have another div, and inside this div we will have our image. So I'm going to use the image component from next image, and here we're going to use the source, and the source will be slash images slash p1.png. Then the alt will be image, then the width will be 600 and height will be 600. If I hit save and go to our project, here you can see we have our first image just like this one. So next we have 5 more, so I am going to copy this div 5 more time, and the second image will be p2, then p3, p4, p5, and finally we have p6. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we now have the image of our project, which looks amazing. Let's check it on the dark mode. You can see in dark mode it also looks nice. Let's check its responsiveness. So if I inspect and select a mobile devices, you can see in mobile devices it fit perfectly. And let's check in the iPad devices. In iPad it also fit perfectly. So our project section is completed. Next, we are going to build the client review section. So if I show you the client review section, here you can see we have section heading and a slider, which can slide from left to right or right to left. And the slider also have a auto sliding feature. So now we are going to build this section. So to build this, I am going to first create a new folder inside my home, and I'm going to name it review. And inside this, I'm going to create a review.tsx. And I'm going to use RAFC to create a component boilerplate, and then I'm going to add this in our home. So after the project, I'm going to add our review section. So now if I hit save and go to our project, here you can see we have our text review. Now let's go to the review.tsx, and the first div will have a class name of padding top of 16, padding bottom of 16. Now inside this div we'll have another div with class name of width will be 90%, in medium screen width will be 80%, image will be auto, and after that we will have our section header. So if I show you the deployed version, here you can see the section heading is similar to this one. So we are going to copy the section heading from our project section. So let's go to our project section, and here at the top we have our section heading. So I'm going to copy this. So let's copy and then go to your review.tsx, and here paste the code. So that's it. Now we are going to change the headings here. So let's copy the heading from here. So first one is the testimonials. So I'm going to copy this and paste it here. Then I'm going to copy the title from here. So copy this and then paste it here. Now if I hit save and go to our project, here you can see we have our section heading and the button. So we need to also change the button text. Here it says all services, and in the latest works it also says all services, but in the deployed version here you can see it's all reviews and all project. So let's also fix this. So let's go here. So first let's go to the project section, and here the button text will be all projects, and then go to the review, and here this one will be all reviews. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so now it's all projects and this one is all reviews. So just like our deployed on all reviews, all project. Next we have this slider. So for the slider we are going to use an npm package, and the npm package we are going to use is React multi-carousel, which is a very popular npm library to create slider in React and Next.js. So here you can see it has a lot of weekly download, and here you can read their documentation if you want to learn more in details, and they have some demo also. So first I'm going to copy this and then go to our project, and I'm going to paste it here and hit enter to install these packages. In the meantime, I'm going to make our review.tsx component a use client component, and then after the heading we will have our sliders. So here first we have a div with class name of So class name of margin top of 16. That's it. And our package is installed successfully. Now let's go to the React multi carousel. And here first what we need to do is we need to import the carousel and CSS file for styling. So copy these two and paste it here and hit save. Next what we need to do is we need to add this responsive variable here. So I'm going to copy this responsive variable from here, and then I'm going to paste it here. And in the responsive variable I'm going to change some of the things. So first one here is the breakpoint. So maximum will be 3000, it's okay. And here the minimum will be 1224. And here we're going to show 2 items and the slider will slide 1 items. So that's it. So next one will start from 1224 and here the minimum will be 764 and we're going to show 1 item and we want that slider will slide 1 items. That's it. And in the mobile the maximum will be 764 and minimum will be 0 and items will be 1, slides to slide will be 1. So that's it. This is our responsive variable. Next, here you can see we have our carousel with a lot of properties that we can configure here. So I'm going to copy this from here and then I'm going to paste it here. Now we don't need all of this. So here we don't need the sweepable, draggable, and for the show dots I'm going to make it false. If you want to show the dot you can use the true here. I'm going to make it false. We're going to use the responsive with a responsive variable that we have at the top. Then we don't need the SSR here. Then the infinity will be 2 and the autoplay will be true also. Autoplay speed will be 4000 millisecond, that means 4 seconds. And you can keep the keyboard control if you want. And we don't actually need any of this. So I'm going to hit save. Now if I go to our project, here you can see we already have our slider which is sliding from left to right and right to left, and if you wait some time you can see it will slide automatically after 4 seconds. That's awesome. Next what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a separate component for this review card only. So let's go to our project and in the review folder I'm going to create a review card.tsx and I'm going to use RFC to create a component boilerplate. And then in the review.tsx I'm going to remove all of this and I'm going to use our review card here. And we are going to pass some props in our review card. So the first one is the review title. So we are going to pass a review title. So for the first one, this one will be great work. So great work. Then we are going to pass username, the person that give this review. For the first one, let's use Jessica Doe. And then we are going to pass the user image, and this one will be slash images slash c1.png. And finally we are going to pass the role of the user, and let's say this one is UI UX designer. Now let's hit save. So we have 2 more of this, so I'm going to copy this 2 more time and we're going to change the props there. For the second one, this one will be creative work and this name is, let's say, Janie Doe, and the image will be c2.png, and for the role let's use web developer. For the third one, let's say awesome work, and for the name let's use Jason Doe. Image will be c3.png, and role let's use app developer. App developer. That's it. Now we have to receive the props in our review card. So let's open our review card, and at the top I'm going to use a type props, and here we will receive the review title, which is type of string, username type of string, user image type of string, and review description. We don't have review description. Here we receive the role. The role will be also string. So these are the props we are receiving from our review component, and so I'm going to pass the props here, and let's import the review title, the role, the username and user image. That's it. Now for the first div, have a class name of bg gray of 100, then we have padding of 6, rounded large, margin right will be 4, shadow will be md. That's it. Now inside this div we'll have a h1 with the review title, and this h1 will have a class name of text to excel, text color will be black, font will be bold. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our background and we have our review title. That's it. That's awesome. Let's go to the review.tsx, and here we have some extra semicolons. I'm going to remove this. Now let's go to the review card, and after the h1 we will have another div with class name of margin top will be 2, flex, items will be center, and I'm going to hit save. Now inside this div we will have a star icon, so I'm going to use fs star from react icon, and this icon will have a class name of text yellow 500, then width will be 5, height will be 5, and we have 5 of them, so I'm going to copy it 4 more time. So now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our star, so just like this one. Next we have this random text, so I'm going to copy this random text, which is the main review here. If you want, you can pass a props here as a review description or review text, but I am going to use a random text here. So after this we have a p tag with the random text, and the p tag will have a class name of margin top of 4, text will be base, in medium screen text will be LG, font will be medium, and text will be gray 800. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our text, review text, just like this one. Next we have a line, so let's make the line here. So after the p tag we have a span with class name of block, width full, height will be 1 pixel, bg will be gray 300, margin top will be 6, margin bottom will be 6. If I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have the line. So after the line, we have the user profile. So let's go to our code. So after the span, we have a div with class name, not the children, class name of flex, items will be center, justify will be beaten. Now inside this div, we have another div with class name of flex, items will be center, and SpaceX will be 4. Now inside this div, we'll have an image from next image, and the image will have a source, and the source is the user image URL that we are receiving here as a prop. The alt, let's use image, the width will be 16 and the height will be 60, and for the class name we're going to round it full. That's it. So now if I go to our project, so here you can see we have the user image. Next we have the user name, role, and the photo here. So let's go here. So after the image and after this div, we have a h1 with username, and we have a p with the role. The h1 will have a class name of text base, smaller devices, text will be large, text color will be black, in medium screen text will be Excel, font will be bold. For the p text, we have a class name of text small, text will be black, smaller devices text will be base, and medium screen text will be large. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so here we have the name and the role, but it's not properly formatted. So after this div, after the image we have a div, and inside this div we have this h1 and p. So I'm going to cut it from here and paste it here. Now if I hit save and go to our project, now you can see now it looks good. So now we have the user image, the user name, and the role. Next we have the image of their company. So here I am using a dummy Google image. So after this div, we have another div, and inside this div we have an image tag with next image. Now this image will have the source of slash images slash c4.png. The alt will be Google, the width will be 80, the height will be 80. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our company image like Google. So now everything looks amazing. We have the section heading, we have the slider, and the slider works perfectly. Let's check this on the dark mode. So in the dark mode it also looks nice. If you want, you can change the background of this color of this card. If you want, then you need to change the color of this title and the review text. So now let's check the responsiveness. So if I inspect, and in the mobile devices, you can see in mobile devices it fits perfectly. And let's check in the iPad devices. So in the iPad it also looks amazing. So our client review section is completed. Next we are going to build a block section. So if I show you the block section, here you can see we have section heading and 3 block card. So to build this, I'm going to create a new folder inside my home, and I'm going to name this blog, and inside this I'm going to create a blog.tsx, and then I'm going to use rafc to create the component boilerplate, and then I'm going to add this in my home.tsx. So after the review, we'll have our blog. So now if I hit save and go to our project, here you can see we have the text blog. Now let's go to the blog.tsx, and here the first div will have a class name of padding top of 16, padding bottom of 16, and then inside this we'll have another div with class name of text center. And one thing, if I show you here in the deployed version, so you can see this section heading is similar to this software section heading. So I'm going to copy this section heading from the software section, and I'm going to paste it here and then change the content. So let's go to our software section. So this is the software.tsx. So from here I'm going to copy the section heading, so this to h1. So copy this and then go to the blog.tsx, and inside this paste it, and then we are going to change the text content. So the subheading will be latest blog, and then the heading will be ready our latest insight from our blog post. So let's copy this from here and then paste it here. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our latest blog and ready our latest insights from our blog post. But here we have a break tag from here. So we are going to use a break tag. So let's go here and we are going to add a break tag here. Now if I hit save and go to our project, now you can see it looks exactly like this one, and it looks awesome. Next we have the block cut. So for the block cut, I am going to create a reusable block cut component. So let's go to our project. So here I am going to use a block cut.tsx, and then I'm going to use rafc to create the component boilerplate, and then let's go to the block. So after the heading, so let's add here heading section, and after the heading we'll have another div with class name of class name, width will be 80%, margin top will be 16, mx will be auto, we're going to use grid calls will be 1, in larger screen grid calls will be 2, and in extra larger screen grid calls will be 3, and gap will be 6. Now let's hit save, and then inside this div we'll have another div, and then inside this div we'll have our block cut component, and then we're going to pass some props in our block cut. So first one is the image. So image will be slash images slash v1.png, and then we are going to pass a title. So for the title I'm going to copy it from our deployed version. So let's go to the deployed version. So this is the first heading, so I'm going to copy this from here and paste it here. So this is our first block, and we have two more, so I'm going to copy it two more times. For the second one, the image will be b2.png, and for the third one, the image will be b3.png. And let's copy the title from here. So this is the second title, and paste it here. And then this is the third title. So paste it from, copy it from here, and then paste it here. Now we have to receive the props in our block cut component. So let's go to the block cut, and at the top I'm going to use a type props, and here we are receiving an image of type string, and also we are receiving a title of type string. Now I'm going to pass the props here, and then here I'm going to import the image and the title. Now here inside this div we have another div, and then inside this div we have an image component, and I'm going to import the image from next image, and the image will have a source of image that we receive as a props. Then we have alt tag. For the alt I'm going to use image, and then for the width will be 400 and height will be 400, and then we have some class name here. So class will be rounded lg, so rounded lg, width will be full, height will be full. Now let's hit save, and if I go to our project, so let's go to our project. So here you can see we have our 3 image just like this one. Next we have this box. So let's go to our project. So this is the blog image, and after this div, so after the image we have another div which is our box. So let's comment it here, block box, and here we have a div with class name of width will be 90%, image will be auto, bg will be gray 200, in the dark mode bg will be blue 900, bg blue 900, the rounded will be lg, then margin top will be minus grem, then we have relative, z index will be 10, and padding will be 6. Now if I hit save, so here I think we have some, so we have some error here. So now it's okay. Now inside this div we have another div with class name of flex, items will be center, and SpaceX will be 2. Then inside this div we have a icon. So if I show you, we are building this part, so where we have an icon and the name by admin. So let's go here. So here we have a bi user icon from React icon, and this icon will have a class name of width 5, height 5. Then we have a span with the text by user. This span will have a class name of, in medium screen, text large, text will be base, and font semi-bold. That's it. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have by user. So not by user, this one will be by admin. So I have a mistake here, so this one will be by admin. That's it. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have the icon and the text by admin. Awesome. Next we have the title. So let's go here. So after this div we have a h1 with our title, and this h1 will have a class name of text large, in medium screen text will be excel, font will be bold, margin top will be 4. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our title and it's already look nice. Next we have this line. So let's add the line. So after the h1 we have a span with class name of width will be full, height will be 2 pixel, margin top will be 6, margin bottom will be 6, and bg will be grade 300, and this one will be block. So now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our line. Next we need this date and the button. So let's go here. So after this span we have a div. The div will have a class name of text lg, not text lg. The div will have a class name of flex. Items will be center. SpaceX will be 2. Now inside this div we have another div with class name of flex. Items will be center and SpaceX will be 2. So here the first div will have a flex item center, and then this one will be justify between. So justify between. Then inside this div we have another div which have flex item center and SpaceX 2. Now inside this div we have an icon which is si calendar. So let's use this one, and it will have a class name of width 4, height 4, and then we have another span with the date. Let's add 11 May 2025, and this span will have a class name of in medium screen, text will be large, text base, font will be semi-bold. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our date, but the calendar icon is not looking good. Let's use another one. So this one will be SL calendar. So this one. Now delete the first one that we use. So this one, let's remove it from here. So now if I go to our project, so here you can see it's look like this one. So we have the calendar icon and the date. Next we have the button. So let's build this button. So after this div we have another div with class name of width will be 9, height will be 9, rounded will be full, then we have flex, items will be center, justify will be center, flex will be in the column direction, bg will be blue 800, cursor will be pointer, then we have hover, bg will be blue 900, transition all, and duration will be 200 milliseconds. And then inside this we will have an icon which is md outline arrow outward. That's it. And here we have a class name of width 5, height 5, and text will be white. So now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our button which looks amazing, and it also have hover effect. Now our block section looks pretty good. Let's see this section in the dark mode. So if I click here, so you can see in the dark mode it also looks very nice. So just like this one. And let me show you the responsiveness of this section. So if I inspect and if I select mobile devices, you can see in mobile devices the block section fit perfectly. And if I show you the iPad version, so in the iPad it also looks amazing. So our block section is completed. Next we are going to build the footer section. So if I show you the footer section, here you can see in the footer section we have 4 parts. So we have some information, some footer links, and then we have a bottom part of the footer. So now let's build the footer section. So for this I'm going to create a new folder inside my home, and I'm going to name this footer, and I'm going to add a footer.tsx inside our footer folder. Then I'm going to use RFC to create the component boilerplate, and then I'm going to add this in our layout. So in the layout, so after the children, I'm going to add our footer. So if in future we add other pages, this page will automatically have the navbar and footer attached to it. So let's add the footer here. Now if I go to our project, here you can see we have our text footer. Now let's go to the footer.tsx, and the first div have a class name of padding top of 16, padding bottom of 16, and background will be bg blue 950. Now inside this div will have another div with class name of width will be 80%, mix will be auto, items will be start, grid cost will be 1. In smaller devices, grid cost will be 2. We forget to add the grid here, so grid. Then in medium screen, grid cost will be 2, and in large screen, grid cost will be 4. And we have gap of 10. Now hit save, and then we have our first part. So first part, and in the first part we have a div, and inside this div we have our logo. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open my navbar. So in the nav.tsx I'm going to copy the logo from here. So let's copy it, and then in the footer I'm going to paste it, and then I'm going to import the icon. So now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our logo, so just like this one. Next we have some random text, so I'm going to copy the random text from here, and then let's go here. So after the logo we have some random text, so I'm going to use a p tag and then paste the random text here. The p tag will have a class name of margin top of 4, text will be grade 200, and font will be medium. If I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our description. Next we have this socials icons. So after the p tag we have socials links, and here we have a div with class name of padding top of 6, flex, items will be center, and SpaceX will be 2. Now inside this div we have another div with class name of flex, items will be center, justify will be center, flex will be in the column direction, width will be 8, height will be 8, bg will be pink 500. No, first one is bg blue 600, and then text will be white and rounded 4. Now inside this div we'll have a Facebook icon, so we're going to use fa Facebook f icon. So now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our Facebook icon, so just like this one. Next we have the Instagram, Twitter and YouTube, three more. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this div three more times. So 1 2 3, and the second one will be fa Instagram, and the background will be bg pink 500. Hit save, and the third one will be fa Twitter, and here the background will be bg sky 400. Now hit save, and the last one will be fa YouTube, and this one will be bg red 600. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our Instagram, Twitter and YouTube icons, which looks amazing, just like this one. Next we have this footer links. So after the first part, so this is the first part, then we have our second part. So in the second part we have a div, and this div will have a class name of space y of 5, and inside this div we first have a h1 with the text company, and this h1 will have a class name of text lj, font bold, and then text color will be white. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have the text company just like this one. Next we have the footer links. So here after the h1 we have a p tag with about us, and here I am going to create a class name of footer link. So I am using a custom class link here, so that I can apply some Tailwind class name inside this and then add this here. So when I create this footer link styling, you will understand it. So we have 4 more. So first one is about us, then we have news and press, then we have our customer, then we have leadership, and then we have carriers. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our footer links, but they are not stat. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open my global.css, and here at the top I'm going to create a layer, components, and inside this I'm going to create a footer link, and inside this I'm going to apply some Tailwind classes. So the first one is text white, font will be semi bold, cursor will be pointer, text will be small, in the hover text will be yellow 300, and width will be fit. So now if I hit save and go to our project, here you can see we have our footer link style, and if you can observe it here, we don't need to add these all class name in our footer links, all of the footer links. So we just add these custom classes and then apply some common classes in the footer. So this is the second part of our footer. Then we have this third part which is similar to this one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy the second part So let's copy this and paste it underneath. So this is the third part, and here in the third part, for the first h1 we have the text, resources, then here we have block, then we have webinar and events, then we have podcast, then we have ebook, so ebook and guides. Now if I hit save and go to our, so we don't need this one, so first remove this, and now if I save and go to our project, so you can see we have our third part of the nav links. So next we have this fourth part, so let's create this one. So after the third part we have our fourth part, and here we have a div, and inside this div we have a h1 with contact us, and this h1 will have a class name of text large, font will be bold, and text color will be white. Then after the h1 we have another h1. So after the h1 we have a div with class name of margin top of 6, and then inside this div we have a h1 with the text our mobile phone, and after the h1 we have another h1 with the mobile phone. So here I am using a dummy mobile phone here, and now this h1 will have a class name of text small, text color will be white, and for the second one we have a class name of text base, font will be bold, and then text color will be yellow 300, and margin top will be 1. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so you can see we have contact us, our mobile number and the mobile number, so just like this one. Then we have the email. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this date underneath, and then here this one will be our email, and here let's add an email like example at gmail.com. Now if I hit save and go to our project, here you can see now we have our email and example at gmail.com. So next we have a line and a bottom part. So let's go here. So after completing this div, the grid div, then we have the bottom part, and here we have a div with class name of margin top of 8, width will be 80%, mx will be auto, border top, we have a border top, and then padding top will be 8, flex will be in the column direction, in medium screen flex will be in the row, flex row, and then justify will be between, items will be center, text color will be gray 600, so text gray 600, and text will be small. And then inside this step we have a p tag without copyright text, so I'm going to copy the copyright text from here. So let's copy this from here and paste it here, and this p tag will have a class name of text center, then text color will be white, and in medium screen text will be in the left. Now if I hit save, and if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our copyright text, but we don't have our line here. So let's check what's the problem. So here we have a typing mistake, so this one will be border top. So now if I hit save and go to our project, now you can see we have the line here, and then we have the copyright text. Next we have this social icons. So let's go here. So after the p tag we have a div with class name of flex, items will be center, text will be white, SpaceX will be 4, margin top will be 4, and in medium screen margin top will be 0. Now inside this div we have a span with the text social, and this span, after the span we have another span with class name of, so this span will have some class name. So the class name is in the hover, the text will be gray 500, and otherwise text will be white. And then inside this span we have a Facebook icon. So fa Facebook, so fa Facebook from React icons, and we have 3 more, so I'm going to copy it 3 more times. The second one is fa Twitter, and the third one is fa Dribble. So now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our social links, which looks awesome. Now let's check this section in the dark mode. So if I click here, you can see dark mode there is nothing changed because we use the same background color. So now let me show you the responsiveness. So if I inspect and if I select mobile devices, and you can see in the mobile devices everything fit perfectly. And if I show you the iPad devices, you can see in iPad it also fit perfectly. So our footer section is completed. Next, we are going to build the scroll to top feature. So if I show you the scroll to top feature, here you can see we have a button. So when I click here, it will go to the top. And initially it's hidden, but when I start scrolling, it will appear to the screen. So these are the functionality that we are going to build here. So for this, let's go to our code. And here in the helper, I'm going to create a file called scroll to top.tsx, and I'm going to use RFC to create the component boilerplate, and then I'm going to add this in our layout. So after the footer, I'm going to add our scroll to top so that all pages have these features available. So now let's go to the scroll to top here. So first I'm going to convert this into a client component using use client. Now here first I'm going to create a state variable to manage our visible and not visible state. So first I'm going to use is visible and set is visible, and we're going to use state, and initially this one will be hidden. So initially our scroll to top button will be hidden. Then I'm going to use a use effect hooks, and the dependency array is the empty dependency array, and then inside this I'm going to create a function called toggle visibility. So this one is for toggling the visibility, and inside this I'm going to check if window dot scroll in the y directions If it is greater than 300, then I'm going to set our is visible to true. Then we're going to show our button. Else the visible state will be false. So that's why set is visible to false. So this is our toggle visibility. Then in the window dot add event listener, we are going to add event listener to the window, and we are going to listen for the scroll event, and we are going to call our toggle visibility. That's it. And then we are going to add a cleanup function to return. So window dot remove event listener, we're going to listen for the scroll event, and we are going to run our toggle visibility. So we are going to remove the event listener from the scroll. So this will handle our show and hide the button. So let's add a comment here, show hide functionality, and then I'm going to create the functionality to scroll to the top. So here I'm going to create a function called scroll to top. So this one will be an arrow function, and inside this I'm going to use window dot scroll to and inside this we are going to add the top. So we will go to the top 0, that means at the top, and the behavior we want here, so here will be comma, and then the behavior we want is smooth. So that's it. Now here the first step will have a class name of fixed, then we have bottom of 4, and animate will be pulse. This is a built-in Tailwind CSS animation, and we want to write of 4. Now inside this step, what we are going to do is we are going to check if is visible is true, then we are going to show the button. So then we are going to show a button, and the button will have some class name. So the class name will be bg pink 500, cursor will be pointer, then text color will be white, rounded will be full, width will be 12, height will be 12, flex, items will be center, then justify will be center, and in the focus, outline will be none. That's it. And when we call these buttons in the on click, we are going to call our scroll to top function, and inside this button we'll have a arrow icon. So you'll SFA arrow up. That's it. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we already have this button. So if I click here, you can see it go to the top smoothly, and you can see initially it's hidden, but when I start scrolling it will appear to the screen, and it has this built-in pulse animation from Tailwind. So our scroll to top function works properly. So scroll to top functionality is completed. Now we are going to add animation to our website to make the website more attractive. So in the deployed version, if I show you, you can see our website have scroll animation, and it looks very nice and make it more attractive for the users. So now we are going to add this animation to our website. So for the animation, I'm going to use an npm package. The npm package we are going to use is AOS, which is animation on scroll. It is a very popular library to add animation in the scroll, and it's very easy to add in Next.js project. So this is their GitHub pages. So if I scroll, you can see they have different types of fade up, fade down, fade right, fade left, a lot of different types of animation, flip animation, zoom animation, and lot more. And the best part is you just need to add the data AOS property to the div you want to animate, and it will automatically animate it when you scroll to that div. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click here to go to their GitHub pages, and here they have a detailed documentation. If you want to learn more, you can learn from here. So first what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy their npm script to install this. So I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste it here, and then we're going to configure our AOS in the home.tsx. And first I'm going to convert this into a client component, because to use AOS we need to convert this component a client component. Next what I'm going to do is, you can see the installation is completed. So next we're going to import this AOS and the CSS file for the AOS. So copy these two lines and paste it here. And if you hover here, you can see we also need to install the type for this AOS. So I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste it here to install the type. Now inside this I'm going to use effect hooks, and here I'm going to add an empty dependency array, and then inside this I'm going to create a function called init AOS, and this one will be an arrow function, and inside this I'm going to await import AOS, and then I'm going to use AOS.init, and here the duration, first we're going to define a duration of 1000 milliseconds, that means 1 second. Then we are going to pass the is in, which will be is, and then we're going to pass the ones, so the ones will be true, and finally the anchor placement, so the anchor placement will be top bottom. Now let's hit save, and also make this an async function because we are using await here. So after this I'm going to call init AOS. That's it. So this is our initialization part. Next we are going to add the animation. So first we are going to add the animation to our hero section. So let's go to the hero section, so hero.tsx, and here at the top where we have the text content, so here we are going to add the animation. So first animation we are going to use, so we are going to use data-aos, and the animation name is fade up. So we are going to use fade up animation. And then for the image content we're going to use a data-aos, and here for the image we're going to use fade down animation. We're also going to add a data-aos-delay property. So we're going to add a 150 millisecond of delay. So what we want, that first the text content will appear to the screen, and then after 150 milliseconds later the image content will appear to the screen. So now if I hit save, and if I go to our project, if I reload the page, here you can see we have our animation. Awesome. So first the text come and then the image. You can see how easy it is to add the animation using AOS. Awesome. So next we are going to add animation to our services section. So let's go to our services.tsx, and here we have the services card div. So inside this div, not inside, in this div we're going to add a data-aos, and we are going to use fade right, And then we're going to use data-aos and anchor placement. So we will add anchor placement here, and we're going to use top center. That's it. Now I'm going to copy these two lines and I'm going to paste it here, and I'm going to add data-aos-delay, and here I'm going to add a 100 millisecond of delay. Then I'm going to copy these three lines and I'm going to paste it here, and here I'm going to add 200 millisecond delay. The animation will be failed right and the anchor placement will be same. And for the next one I'm going to use 300 millisecond. Then I'm going to use 400 millisecond, and finally for the last one 500 millisecond. Now if I hit save and go to our project, if I reload the page, we have our initial animation, and if I start scrolling, you can see we have our services section animation and it looks awesome. So if I show you again, if I reload the page, you can see we have this beautiful animation, and first this item come to the screen and then after some delay the other element come to the screen. Awesome. Next we are going to add animation to our about us image. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this three line and then open our about.tsx, and here in the image, so this is the image, so this is the div. I'm going to paste the code and change the animation. So here I'm going to use zoom in, and we don't need the delay here, so I'm going to remove the delay. Now if I hit save and go to our project, if I reload the page, we have our initial animation, then we have our services section animation, and we have about us section animation with zoom in effect. Awesome. Next we are going to add animation to why chooses image. So I'm going to copy these two lines from here, then I'm going to open our why choose section, and here the image div, I'm going to paste the code here, and here I'm going to change the animation. So instead of zoom in, we are going to use zoom out. So you can use any animation you want. If you want, you can use the flip animation, and I recommend you to read the documentation of AOS so that you can understand what are the different types of animation is available. So now if I go to our project, if I reload the page again, so we have this initial animation, then we have this services section animation, then about us, and we have the why chooses section animation. Awesome. Next we are going to add animation to our software section. So let's go to our code and let's go to the software.tsx, and this is the first card. So I'm going to paste the code that we previously copied, and here we're going to use fade up. So fade up, and the anchor placement will be top center, and then I'm going to copy this two line from here and I'm going to paste it for the second card, and I'm going to add a data-aos-delay of 100 milliseconds, and then I'm going to copy this whole thing and paste for the third card, and here I'm going to change it to 200 milliseconds. Now if I hit save and go to our project, let's reload the page. So we have the initial animation, then we have the services section animation, about us, why chooses section, and then we have the fade up animation of our software section. Awesome. Next we are going to add animation to our latest work. So I am going to copy this three line from here, then go to the project section, so project.tsx, and for the first tip I'm going to paste the code, and here we're going to use zoom in. So let's use zoom in, and then I'm going to copy it again and I'm going to remove the error, because for the first one we don't need the delay. So I'm going to paste it for the second image, and this one will have a 100 millisecond delay. For the third project image, we'll have a 200 millisecond of delay. Then we have 300 millisecond of delay. Then we have 400 millisecond of delay, and finally we have 500 millisecond of delay. So now if I hit save and go to our project, if I reload the page, so we have the animation. If I scroll, about us animation, why choose us animation, software animation, and we have the zoom animation of our project section. Awesome. So the animation works perfectly. Next, we don't animate our testimonial section because here we have a slider. Next, we have the block section. So we're going to add animation to our block section. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this 3 line from here and then go to the block.tsx, and here for the first div, for the first block card, I'm going to use fade right here. So fade right, and the delay will be 0, and I'm going to copy this, and for the second one the delay will be 100 millisecond, and the third one the delay will be 200 millisecond. And in the block card we are not going to use the anchor placement. I'm going to remove the anchor placement from here. So now let's hit save, and if I go to our project, so if I reload the page, so we have our initial animation, then we have our services section animation, about us animation, why choose us animation, then our software section animation, our latest works animation, and finally we have our block section animation. I think here we have some issue with the delay, so let's remove this. For the first one we don't need any delay. For the second one, here the problem is we use zoom right, so this one will be fade right, so that's why the animation is not working. So fade right, fade right. Now if I hit save and if I go to our project at the top, and if I reload the page, so we have the initial animation, then we have the services section, about us section, why choose us section, software section, then we have our project section, and finally we have our block section animation. So all of our animation are works perfectly, and you can see how smooth the animation is and how easy it is to implement the scroll animation using iOS. So our animation is completed. All the functionality in our landing page. Next, I am going to teach you how you can deploy your project in live server like Vercel. To deploy your project to Vercel, first you need to upload your project in GitHub. So first I am going to open my GitHub account. And in my GitHub, I am going to create a new repository. And I'm going to name this software YT. And I'm going to make it a private repository, and then click here to creating the repository. So a repository is created. Next, I'm going to open our project in the code, and I'm going to delete one of the terminal and stop the terminal from running. And here first I'm going to use git init to initialize git, then git add dot, then git commit, and the message will be first commit. And then let's go to your repository. So we done this. Next, let's copy this git branch main and paste it here and hit enter. Then copy this remote origin, so we're going to add the remote origin and paste it here, and then finally push your project using git push origin main. So I'm going to copy this and paste it here. So this will push our project in GitHub. So it's completed. Now if I go to our project, go to our GitHub and reload the page, here you can see we have our project in the GitHub. Here we have add, component, constant, public, and all the files and folder. Next, go to the Vercel dashboard. So if you don't have any Vercel account, you can create one for free. And in the Vercel, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click here to add new project. And here you can see I already connected my GitHub. If you haven't connected your GitHub, so connected your GitHub using Vercel. And here you can see software YT that I currently push to the GitHub. So I'm going to import this and let's have the same name, software YT, and I'm going to click here to deploy. So this will deploy our project in the Vercel. So the deployment started. Let's wait some time to complete the deployment. The deployment is completed. Now click here to continue to dashboard. And here now we have a custom domain. So if I click here, it will open our project in live server. So this is the hosted website, not in the local host. This is in the Vercel. So now here you can see everything works properly. We have our animation and our system is in the dark mode. That's why it's initially in the dark mode, and we have the scroll animation working properly. And you can see the scroll animations, the sliders, the block section. So our dark mode, light mode functionality also working. We have this button to go to the top, which also works properly. Let's check in the responsive view. So in the mobile devices, our sidebar works properly and everything looks amazing. So you can see our deployed version also works properly. So now you have a link that you can share to your client. You can add to your portfolio, you can add to your resume to show your skill in this field. So this is it for this project. If you have any question related to this project, you can ask me in the comment section, and don't forget to like, share and subscribe our channel for more interesting web development video. Thanks for today.